Okay, let's dive right in. We need to talk about the core contradiction of October Daye's whole existence.
Yeah.
We are plunging really headfirst into a world where the streets of San Francisco are hiding these ancient, glittering, and deeply lethal fairy courts.
It's all hidden in plain sight.
And our sources, they detail this relentless journey of Toby Daye, who's a changeling private investigator. Her life has just been slapped with this terrifying absolute expiration date.
And it's immediate. I mean, you're barely past the introduction when Toby, who is, half Daywing seed and half human, she gets confronted by an omen.
A really bad one.
One of the worst. It's so rare, it usually just means the end. It's her fetch.
And this isn't some shadow or a dream.
No, this is a physical adult duplicate of her that shows up before dawn and just calmly tells her she is, and this is a quote, not exactly on the universe's 10 longest projected lifespans list.
Which is just about the most devastating pre-quest briefing you could possibly get.
You think?
Because that really is the core conflict here. You have Toby, who's grappling with the prophecy of her own imminent death, and then she finds out that the young children of her closest human friends have been kidnapped.
Andy and Jesse.
Exactly. And it's by this dangerous ancient power. So it isn't even a choice for her. It's just this absolute moral imperative that completely overrides any, natural urge to prepare for your own death.
And the investigation, it immediately escalates. I mean, this isn't some minor fae squabble.
Not at all.
The kidnapper is a firstborn fae. His name is Blind Michael.
Right.
And when you're dealing with a firstborn, you are dealing with power that existed before the modern world. A being who literally defines his own rules.
So to even get close to his realm, she has to take on this terrifyingly rigid magical contract, the Rose Road.
The Rose Road, yeah.
So our mission today is to become expert guides to Toby's whole desperate situation. We're going to unpack the unique, intricate magical and political ecosystem of the Fae in San Francisco.
And they are how they organize.
And why their ancient systems of debt and obligation govern every single move. Then we'll lay out the stringent, legally binding rules of this Rose Road quest she has to follow.
And trace the consequences of confronting a being like Blind Michael.
Right, and analyze the ultimate bloody price she pays for saving the innocent.
I think what's so crucial to get right away is that the source material, it doesn't ease you in. There's no gentle introduction to Fae philosophy.
No, it just throws you in the deep end.
It assumes we immediately get the complex rules of Fae society, life, and, most importantly, the whole concept of unspoken debt. The Rose Road isn't just a physical trip. It's a test of Fae law.
So we have to figure out really quickly what's a threat, what's a sanctuary, and how a changeling, a creature of two worlds, manages to navigate the fatal rules of a world that basically despises her human half.
Exactly. Let's start with Toby's limitations, because her identity really defines the stakes.
Okay, so let's start with Toby herself. She's a changeling. So that means she has this high, noble Daewin seed heritage from her mother's side. But then she's also got this stubborn, frustrating humanity from her father's.
And that hybrid nature, it seems to be. I mean, it's the defining thing about her, especially for her job.
Yeah, the sources note that changelings, quote, rarely do well in jobs with fixed, dependable hours.
And that statement, it's not just, career advice. It's a deep sociological point about the Fae world.
How so?
That whole inability to hold a 9-to-5 job, it comes directly from the Fae side's need for the dark. Almost all Fae are fundamentally nocturnal.
Right, from the high nobility.
The Daemin is seedy, and that's pronounced Dunyashi. All the way down to the little hearth spirits and pixies.
So they're just not compatible with daylight?
Not at all. They don't like the sun returns the favor. Toby's whole PI business is defined by her need to work in the gray hours. It's a necessity rooted in her blood and her magic.
That's a really crucial distinction. It just shows how Fae society values lineage over logic.
Yeah.
Their sanctuaries, these places called noes, are literally built to keep them separate from the sun and the human world.
And they aren't just houses. They are literal pieces of the Summerlands, the true Fae world, hewn out and sort of anchored to our physical world.
Like an embassy.
Exactly like an embassy. And critically, these noes, they reflect the personality and the power of their keepers. They are places of absolute jurisdictional control.
The rules of the Summerlands apply there.
Right. offering protection and a base for political operations. We see Dame Altair's No, which is described as an elegant Victorian house, very traditional.
And then later there's Lily the Undine, the water spirit.
And her No is in the Golden Gate Courts. It's a twisting realm filled with moss and small streams anchored at the Japanese tea garden. The No is the core of their power, a little pocket dimension tailored to its ruler.
The Fae population Toby deals with is, it's incredibly diverse. We see that mostly through her work history as this specialist PI.
She's basically the detective for Fae problems that the regular police would just never understand or even see.
One of her recent successes, for instance, involved a Barghest infestation at Dame Altair's No.
And this case is such a great vehicle for world building. It moves us past the simple nobility and shows us the darker, more ancient creatures that are still around.
So what are Barghests?
They're described as poisonous monstrosities, and the source material says they only breed about once a century.
Wow, okay.
So this incredibly slow reproductive cycle, it kind of balances out how toxic they are.
Yeah.
They're rare, they're dangerous, and because of that, they're actually valuable in the Fae economy, even as pests.
And the way this case gets resolved, it tells you so much about the difference between fatalism and, human morality.
It really does.
Toby and her friend Danny McGreedy, he's this practically indestructible taxi driver. They capture them. But Danny, who's human, but works on the edge of the Fae world, he decides the Barghests are cute little guys.
He does, and he insists on adopting all of them.
Which is just, it's more than a funny little story.
Oh, yeah. It highlights the precarious state of a lot of these creatures. Danny wanted to start a kennel, which is a completely bizarre idea for poisonous beasts.
But the sources seem to imply that with Faerie in hiding, and so many creatures going extinct because of the human world and all our iron,
that even a poisonous Barghest might be lucky to have been captured. The human, Danny, is trying to save these things that the Fae noble, Dame Altair, was just trying to get rid of like rats. It's this moment of unexpected conservation driven by human compassion.
And as we move through the political landscape, we see other key Fae races too.
Like the Selkies.
Right, Selkies, like Toby's friend Connor Odell. They're skin shifters, and their only real magic is literally in their skins.
And they are a huge exception to that nocturnal rule. Daylight doesn't bother them at all, which makes Connor an anomaly, a morning person in a world of night owls.
And that lack of vulnerability to the sun, it's tied directly to how their magic works, being bound to their skin.
So if the Dowan seed rule the traditional high magic courts, then we have to look at the Kate seed.
The cat Fae.
Exactly. Pronounced Caithshi, represented by Tybalt, who is the powerful king of cats, and his courtier, Raj. The Kate seed court doesn't rely on ancient forests. Their court is a jungle made of concrete and steel.
So their kings, like Tybalt, they have to be cunning, clever, and strong to manage this urban domain.
That urban jungle analogy is just perfect. And there's this little detail that always sticks with you, their obsessive need for cleanliness. It's a small but consistent part of their nature.
So you have all these different courts and races. Daewin Scene ability, skin shifters, the powerful city-based Kate seed. It shows this really complex, highly stratified political and magical layering of San Francisco.
And Toby is constantly having to navigate this grid of hidden, warring nobles and all their specific, non-negotiable rules.
But this whole complex political mess, it just instantly becomes irrelevant because of one single personal magical event.
The arrival of the fetch?
This is the moment Toby's life structure just collapses. She's confronted by May, an adult duplicate of herself, right before dawn.
And the psychological terror of that has to be immense. This isn't just a bad dream, it's a physicalized omen, and an incredibly rare one.
And May isn't the killer.
No, she's the spirit that shows up when the timeline for a person's life is closing. She's made from fragments of Toby's own being, but she moves with an unconditional grace that Toby, as a changeling who always feels clumsy compared to purebloods, has never had.
So the fetch is like her pure potential. Her final form, maybe?
Sort of, stripped of all the messy defensive layers she's built up over a lifetime of trauma. And May confirms the terrible news. She tells Toby she's not exactly on the universe's 10 longest projected lifespans list.
She's marked for death, and there's no known way to reverse it.
But the detail that's the most chilling, the thing that confirms May's authenticity, is that she isn't perfect. When May leaves, she tries to whistle, and she can't. It mirrors Toby's utter inability to whistle. That small, shared flaw, that tiny, uniquely human failure, confirms this being is truly bound to Toby's essence.
It sets this profoundly fatalistic tone. She is now literally walking around with her own death.
And the arrival of the Fetchit elevates every single conflict from now on. It's not just danger anymore, it's confirmation of an inescapable destiny.
That sense of doom, the idea that she has nothing left to lose,
Is precisely what drives her almost reckless willingness to confront the single most dangerous being in her world when those children go missing. #Tag2, the children's crisis, and seeking extreme measures.
Okay, so let's shift focus to the urgent crisis. The death prophecy gets immediately, completely eclipsed by the disappearance of Andy, who's 4, and Jesse.
Her friends' kids, Mitch and Stacy.
And they're changelings, so you can't just call the cops. It's not only useless, it's potentially dangerous for the children. So Stacy calls Toby, relying on her Fae expertise.
And the situation is instantly recognizable as magically inflicted trauma. The most disturbing clue left behind is their middle daughter, Karen. She's 11.
And she's still in bed.
But she's completely unresponsive. It's a state of magical paralysis. Mitch, her dad, he even poured ice water on her, and she didn't even flinch.
That signals a targeted, severe magical attack. Something designed to immobilize anyone left behind.
And the pattern expands. It wasn't just them. Quentin, the Kate side, reports that his human girlfriend, Katie, is also missing.
And he said her room tasted funny.
Yeah, like blood and candle wax. The presence of blood and wax signals a specific kind of binding dark magic. This isn't random. It's a targeted collection by something ancient.
So in this moment of total panic and magical contamination, Toby seeks sanctuary. And more importantly, some high-level guidance.
She goes to Lily, the Undine, who runs the Golden Gate Courts. Lily's know is water-based, a domain where water spirits rule. A place of stability and powerful ancient healing.
And Lily gives her some crucial magical first aid. Toby had burned her hands when she touched the window in the boys' room.
A sign of the potent, destructive magic the kidnapper left behind.
Lily uses her water magic to heal the burns, and she explains the damage was magically done, which made it fixable, which is a key limitation in this world, right? Magic can only easily fix magical harm.
Exactly. And Lily's wisdom, it comes from her nature as a water spirit. It reflects depth, interconnectedness. She immediately gets how serious this is, and she sees the fetch. She says, there are always ripples on the water.
She confirms Toby is facing certain doom if she goes in unprepared.
And she gives her a cryptic but necessary instruction. She tells her, you must speak to the moon, October.
Which is a clear reference to the Luidag, the sea witch.
Right. And Lily also makes a really smart strategic move. She insists Toby leave the paralyzed girl, Karen, with her for safekeeping.
The decision to contact the Luidag, which is pronounced Lushak, is the definition of an extreme last-ditch measure.
Oh, absolutely. The Luidag is a firstborn, one of Maeve's original children. That puts her at the absolute top of the Fae power structure.
Toby herself says she's scary as hell and incredibly powerful. She even says, there are a lot of things I'd rather face than the Luidag on a bad day, like Godzilla.
And what's fascinating about her is her whole persona. She's a natural shapeshifter, but she chooses not to use glamours. She prefers to appear human, and she hides her power so well that people constantly underestimate her.
But there's a big problem right away.
A huge one. The Luidag has a standing threat against Toby. She promised to kill you after last time, referring to some prior adventure where Toby survived but incurred this massive, unstated debt.
So Toby can't just beg for help. She has to use pure leverage, which is the ultimate currency in the Fae world.
And she forces the Luidag's hand. She announces the cause of the crisis. He rides, confirming the kidnapper is Blind Michael.
And the key piece of leverage.
Blind Michael is the Luidag's brother, a shared antagonistic sibling. Toby points out, he broke the rules by bargaining for someone who was implicitly under the Luidag's silent protective watch.
This is such a critical insight into Fae politics, and it really foreshadows our big conclusion about debt.
It does. Even among Firstborn, the rules of territory and dominion and kinship are rigid and binding. Toby uses Michael's breach of protocol, this violation of Fae etiquette and jurisdiction, to force the Luidag into a very reluctant alliance.
Just to ensure she survives long enough to walk the Rose Road.
With that alliance reluctantly forged, the Luidag binds Toby to the quest with some very stringent rules. The Rose Road is described as a desperate journey you walk by candlelight.
And these rules are not suggestions. They're legal, magical constraints designed to minimize the debt incurred while maximizing the danger.
Okay, let's break them down. The first rule is simplicity itself, but it's profoundly difficult. She must go alone.
That strips Toby of her entire support system, isolates her completely.
The second rule is related. She can take any help found, but she cannot ask for it. And this is the crucial legal distinction that governs all Fae debt.
That's the real trick, isn't it? If you ask a Fae for help, you incur a debt that could be life-changing, maybe eternal.
But by only accepting help that's offered or stumbled upon, the obligation is shifted, or at least lessened, to the one who gave the help. It's a way to participate in Fae society without immediately selling your soul.
Exactly. Okay, so the third rule.
The third rule says she has to fight with what she has and what is given. She can't steal or buy any weapons.
So it's a test of resourcefulness, making sure any victory is earned through her own ability or by accepting gifts that fall under Rule 2. Again, it's all about controlling the debt matrix.
And the final rule is the hard stop. The Rose Road can only be traveled once. This is a literal one-way path. Failure means permanent exile or death.
The initiation ritual itself is intense. It binds her both magically and physically.
The Luadag cuts Toby's hand, bonding her to this candle, which is made of blood and wax, and forces her to drink some fizzing potion. The candle becomes the literal gauge of the road. Its burning rate shows her progress and how much time she has left.
It's the magical contract.
And the ultimate deadline hangs over everything. Toby has to succeed and get back within 24 hours, or the Rose Road will be closed to you forever.
This quest, combined with the fetch already walking around, it's really less a mission and more a carefully controlled suicide run.
Undertaken because the stakes for the children are higher than the stakes for her own impending doom. #3, the Firstborn's realm and the cost of entry.
So to even enter Blind Michael's realm, which isn't a physical place on Earth, it's an islet, Toby has to go through this necessary transformation.
A transformation dictated by the villain himself. The Luadag's spell physically reduces Toby. It estimates her age at somewhere between 8 and 10.
Which sounds just gratuitously cruel.
It does, but it was structurally essential for her to get in. Blind Michael, through magic, had sort of posted a "you must be less than this tall to ride this ride" sign at the borders.
So she had to become a child size to physically survive just getting through the door.
Right, which reinforces the idea that Michael's realm is specifically designed to entrap and corrupt the young and the small.
And the realm itself is a manifestation of his terrifying power. It's not the lush summerlands.
Not at all. It's a vast plain of dry, cracked earth, surrounded by mountains and a solid black sky. We're dealing with an islet, which is a bubble of space where reality is malleable.
And chillingly, fears and phobias have a distressing tendency to come to life.
So it's an environment specifically designed to psychologically break the will of anyone who enters.
And Toby immediately finds out the main purpose of this corrupted realm. The hunt.
Blind Michael's favorite pastime. The riders use these enchanted horns that magically compel their prey to just surrender.
And Toby, who's being mentally assaulted by this magic, only resists giving up when the candle wax, the symbol of her contract, burns her arm. It snaps her out of the magical haze.
And this is where the source material delivers its central horror. It reveals the tiered fate of the captive children.
The Fae children, who are sort of blurrily transformed into parodies of their races, they become the riders. They're waiting for the hunt in the children's hall.
They're corrupted in his tools of power.
But the fate of the human-born children is far, far darker. Toby realizes, with this sense of just numb horror, that the human-born children are transformed into the horses for the hunt.
And the distinction is stark and deliberate. Faerie children are his riders, and the human-born are his horses.
It just reveals the Firstborn's view of mortals, not just as lesser, but as beasts of burden, reserved for transport and labor. It's a commentary on the deepest Fae cruelty toward humanity.
Toby's quest instantly becomes desperate. She finds Katie, Quentin's human girlfriend, in a stable stall.
Katie is physically okay, but the transformation has started. You can see the magic taking root. There are these thin lines of white hair running down her cheeks, like a parody of sideburns.
And Toby can't just drag her out. Katie is paralyzed by terror and Michael's magic. She thinks Toby is one of the hunters.
So to break through that paralysis, Toby has to use the one thing strong enough to cut through illusion.
Changeling blood magic.
She uses a bloody illusion spell,
Yeah.
quoting Shakespeare from A Midsummer Night's Dream. If we shadows have offended.
And it works.
Yeah.
It briefly breaks Katie's terror long enough for Quentin, who followed Toby in without a candle, to rescue her. The magic requires Toby to use her own blood, which, for changelings, always makes the spell stronger.
So while Toby is resting, the narrative introduces this fascinating new layer of magical connection, which leads to the breakthrough in the case.
Karen, The unawakened girl left paralyzed in Lily's nose, she appears to Toby in a dream.
And Karen reveals she's a neuromancer.
A rare gift that lets her see the future in dreams and project her consciousness into them. She warns Toby that she can't wake up while blind Michael has herself.
She appears kneeling next to this tragic figure, a Kitsune child named Hoshibara, who died here after escaping Michael's attempt to change her.
Which is a crucial detail. It shows that Michael's realm is littered with the bodies of those who tried to escape and failed. Karen tells Toby she has to find her before it's too late, implying her essence, herself, is trapped in a physical object.
Probably the butterfly globe Michael used to taunt Toby earlier.
Right. And this communication forces Toby deeper into the warped landscape, where she encounters the major political twist of this whole deep dive.
Geisha.
Toby meets this thin, hooded figure, a pure-blood dryad with yellow skin, and the first thing you notice is the scar running from her eye to her chin, a scar that looks like a brand.
And that scar is critical. There's only one thing that can scar a pure blood like that: iron.
Which immediately tells you Acacia has suffered, probably at the hands of the human world, or maybe through some deliberate punishment using the Fae poison. She's not just some forest spirit. Her pain is ancient and profound.
And she reveals she's blind Michael's consort, his wife. And she shows this unexpected protection toward Toby's rose goblin, Spike.
But here comes the bombshell. The secret that explains the entire setup of the quest and the leverage Toby used. Acacia is Luna's mother.
Luna, who is the wife of Toby's liege lord, Sylvester. And Luna had previously confessed that blind Michael is her father.
Which means Luna is a quarter dryad.
This changes the entire political chessboard.
Everything. We learn Luna had escaped his halls before, and when she was confronted with the choice of her own safety or sending Toby into danger, she intentionally sent Toby to the Ludig.
She admitted it. She offered up Toby's life as a potential sacrifice, leveraging the Ludig's hatred for Michael to solve her own terrifying problem, being found again by her monstrous father.
And that moral gray area is the defining essence of the Fae world. Toby has to process this profound betrayal. The person she trusted set her up while she's standing on the home turf of the betrayer's wife, Acacia, who is now this unexpected potential ally in the heart of Michael's domain.
It transforms the mission from a simple rescue to a complex family assassination.
So Toby finally reaches the core of the islet. She's gathered the rescued children and Quentin, the Kate Sade, and crucially, she is determined to follow the Rose Road rules to the letter.
She knows any deviation could just void the whole bargain.
And because she's stuck to the rule, take any help found but don't ask for it, she's now carrying Sylvester's sword. She just found it lying in the woods.
And she doesn't hesitate to challenge Michael. She uses psychological warfare based on Fae pride.
After his initial ride fails to recapture the children, Toby challenges his honor. She calls him a coward, says he's not a god.
Which is a profoundly risky, high-stakes move. She's daring him to fight her like a man because she knows he can't ignore a public challenge like that in front of his corrupted court.
And Michael's power is still formidable. Even though he's physically blind, he sees through his children. He saw through his children, all of us. He uses them like a vast collective security network.
He tries to break Toby mentally, using illusions to force her to kneel and pledge fealty. He claims, "My pretty sister cannot guarantee your safety in my court."
But Toby's persistence and her sticking to the Rose Road rules, it all pays off. It leads to the bargain.
Michael is forced to offer promise about the captive children. This is the moment Toby validates the whole dangerous quest. He promises, "Your sleeping princess and her siblings shall be free of my lands, and I will never touch them again."
And note the binding language. He swears this promise with the highest oath he has. By my mother's blood and my father's bones.
In Fae culture, especially for a firstborn, that oath is unbreakable. It secures eternal freedom for Karen, Andy, and Jesse.
She secures the safety of the children, but the price for Michael's life still has to be paid.
The real fight begins after that bargain is struck. As Michael is laughing, so sure of his power, Toby notices something crucial in the dust.
Acacia's iron knife? She dropped it earlier.
And this detail sparks a horrifying realization. She knows silver might wound a Fae, but to kill a firstborn, she needs something stronger, something intrinsically poisonous to them.
The source confirms the knife was made of iron, the ultimate poison, the destroyer of Fae magic. This is the missing piece of her arsenal, the only thing that can truly extinguish a being of Michael's magnitude.
And the rule against buying or stealing weapons meant the knife had to be found.
And it was.
Toby then executes this brilliant, changeling-style feint. She holds her silver knife to Michael's throat, the expected Fae weapon, making him focus his vision and his energy on defending against Silver.
While he's distracted by that feint, she simultaneously plunges the iron knife into him.
The killing stroke.
Yeah.
It bypasses all his magical defenses and just stops his powerful reality manipulation dead in its tracks.
In this moment, it costs her everything. As Michael falls, the Blood Road demands its immediate literal toll. Toby collapses, covered in blood from nearly countless cuts covering her body.
The narrative emphasizes that she was ready to die. She had fulfilled her purpose, but her hybrid nature, her sheer stubbornness, refused to let her go just yet.
She was marked for death, but she wasn't scheduled for death right then. #tag V, the aftermath and enduring consequences.
So death doesn't claim her. The Luidae, fulfilling her end of the forced contract, yanks Toby and the rescued children back through the portal.
Which slams shut with a loud boom, closing the ordeal in that path forever.
But the magic lingers. Toby's body is still that of a child because of the residual spell. She's still physically too close to my height to be normal.
So even after surviving the quest, she still looks like she's between 8 and 10 years old, a physical manifestation of the journey's magical trauma.
And we get this fascinating moment of complex loyalty from the fetch, May.
Right. May, who's intrinsically tied to Toby's life force, is immune to harm from the Fae. She drives the getaway car with this reckless, impossible speed to escape blind Michael's pursuing riders. It shows this fierce survival instinct.
The irony is just so rich. The living omen of death is actively fighting to preserve the life she's supposed to be heralding.
And when Toby points this out, May gives this crucial philosophical distinction. She says, I didn't really save your life because she couldn't save my life. She wasn't the one who was going to take it. A fetch is an omen of death, not the cause.
May's showing she's not just a passive mirror of doom. She's a fully formed being with an urge to survive, tied directly to Toby's own enduring life.
Toby's reunion with her loved ones, it quickly reveals the limits of Fae magic and the persistent reality of her human body.
Lily confirms that her healing magic only works on magically inflicted damage, not standard physical injuries.
And Toby realizes the Ludaeg's spell made her younger, but it didn't take away my scars. Her knee still aches from old non-magical injuries. Her life is this collection of permanent reminders of past struggles.
The Ludaeg then steps up to fulfill her final obligation, helping Katie, the former horse girl.
The Ludaeg recognizes that what her brother did wasn't a simple transformation. It was a curse that damaged Katie's connection with her body, making her basically untouchable by lesser Fae healers.
So the Ludaeg tells Luna, who is now fully revealed as a quarter dryad, to send the horse girl to her, and she promises to try to help.
The politics of healing here are severe. Only a firstborn can truly undo the work of another firstborn.
So what happens to blind Michael's lands?
Acacia, the dryad consort and Luna's mother, she survives. She becomes the lady of the lands, seizing control of the islet.
And she frees the riders from the horror of the hunt, but keeps them in her care, since they have nowhere else to go. Her rule is an improvement. They'll be here forever, but they'll be better than they were.
This also means Acacia is now free to visit her children, including Luna, which could complicate Luna's life in a very, very different way.
The closing moments really highlight the enduring nature of Fae threats and political entanglements. It confirms the Fae world never really settles down.
Not for a second. Raiseline Torquil, Connor's wife, confronts Toby, revealing this deep personal hatred and wishing her a death in screaming agony.
So that rivalry, which is rooted in past events, is clearly not resolved. It's an ongoing, personalized threat.
And more crucially, Karen, the now identified Honormancer, continues to see the future in her dreams, confirming her power is active and, dangerous.
In a later vision, she warns Toby about a new, malevolent figure, Oleander de Marylands,
who is half Faerie and half Tuatha de Danann. And this is a critical piece of setup for you, the listener. Karen reveals that Oleander was present and laughed when Toby was originally cursed and turned into a fish years ago.
So this isn't some random new enemy. This woman has a deep, specific, and malicious connection to Toby's past trauma. It signals her ongoing involvement in orchestrating Toby's recurring misfortune.
The Fae world truly holds grudges forever.
The ultimate conclusion for Toby, though, is this moment of profound self-acceptance about her fetch.
May's presence isn't a paralyzing threat anymore.
No. Toby decides to treat May not as a prophecy of doom, but as a sign that she keeps surviving. She invites her to be part of the life she saved.
She realized she'd been subconsciously trying to teach herself how to die, but that her survival instinct was just stronger. She was just hard to kill, and now her death omen is forced to adapt to her continued, inconvenient life.
What a sprawling, dense, and emotionally taxing deep dive.
It really was. We traced Toby Daye's journey, which was governed entirely by the sheer effort it takes to navigate Faerie's ancient and often contradictory rules.
The Rose Road, it demanded solitude, found weapons, and a precise time limit. It created this framework of legalistic desperation.
We saw the horrifying, institutionalized cruelty in Blind Michael's world, emphasizing the Firstborn's willingness to corrupt both magic and mortality through that distinction between Fae riders and human horses.
And we saw the high cost of confronting a Firstborn, ending in a literal blood toll that left Toby physically scarred and magically altered.
The paradox of her initial situation, facing down a fetch, almost welcoming death, was actually the driving force for her heroism.
How so?
She was already dead in her own mind, which allowed her to take risks others wouldn't dare. She clung to her responsibility to the innocent, and in doing so, she defied the very omen she carried by surviving long past its arrival.
The deeper meaning of the fetch of May as a character is truly profound.
She's a living mirror, forcing Toby to confront her own fatalism and accept that, yes, she's mortal, but her death is not immediately scheduled or guaranteed.
May becomes this new, unnerving part of the life Toby saved. A constant, eerie reminder that survival is an ongoing effort.
So we end with the crucial concept that we foreshadowed this whole time, Fae debt.
Right. The Fae Code says that saying thank you implies an obligation. It's avoided because it suggests an unending, non-negotiable debt.
And Toby went into that final fight having accepted help under the second rule of the Rose Road.
Help that came in two major forms. She was carrying Sylvester's sword, which he loaned her, saying he wanted it back, and implying he'd reclaim it if she died.
And Tybalt, the Kate's side king, also told her she had the gratitude of his court.
These are not small gifts from minor players.
Not at all. So the question we have to leave you with is this. What obligations have now been placed upon Toby that she hasn't yet realized? And how might these unstated debts, a sword from her liege, the eternal gratitude of the powerful Kate Sade be collected in the future?
It's a terrifying thought. In a world defined by ancient rules, debts are never forgotten, only deferred. That unspoken Fae gratitude might just be the heaviest burden Toby carries into her next adventure.
A currency she cannot refuse to pay, indeed. Consider the future consequences of unspoken Fae gratitude. They rarely take cash, after all, and they always take their payment.